Do I still hold the same negative views on modern bodybuilding? Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat about this, because again, this is a serious topic. I used to talk about the darker side of bodybuilding, why I didn't like bodybuilding. And now that I'm doing bodybuilding, I've coached some bodybuilders and stuff, people are asking, how have your views changed? I'm going to say certain parts of those views have softened, but by and large, a lot of them really haven't. And it's not that I have an issue with the pursuit of aesthetics. It's not that I have a problem with any of that. Okay. It's still the largely unhealthy side of the serious abuse end on the open bodybuilding side. So I want to be clear there. Like generally speaking, men's physique, women's figure, stuff like that, I don't see the same problems. Like I don't have a problem with people using gear. Like I don't have a problem with PEDs. I don't have problems with any of that. Okay? I have no problems with that. It's the insane abuse amounts of those things that's the problem. And I used to have an issue with certain aspects of, the lifestyle that was often required that roped young men in, right? Young men got roped into a lot of dark stuff a number of years back for a number of reasons. Number one, the cost of a lot of these things that it was required for them to get as big as they needed to be was extremely high. Young men got roped into the hardcore bodybuilding world without other life skills. They were sold a dream of being a big pro bodybuilder, but at 18, 19 years old, they didn't have other skills. And then they had this extremely expensive lifestyle. Okay? A lot of predatory behavior happened because of that. Okay? And that was something I talked about quite a bit. All right, we fast forward. Some of that part's a different world. One part of it got worse, and one part of it got better. Okay, the abuse side got worse. So what changed? The black market changed around the world. The things that these guys were buying, the special supplements that used to be prohibitively expensive, just due to the nature of markets, the nature of Chinese raw materials, all sorts of stuff, okay, dramatically lowered prices. All right, prices got dramatically lowered on those things. You see where we're going? So the cost went down. And I mean even relative to inflation, right? We're in much higher inflation, yet, example, things that used to cost $500 or $600 can be gotten for $100 today, even with more inflation. You see why that would matter in terms of that one thing? Okay. We also have the ability of these younger bodybuilding men to make money on social media. All right, they have other avenues of income purely for their physique with a much, much, much lower price tag for the barrier of entry. All right, that removed a lot of the predatory behavior, removed a lot of it. So that era is gone. That era existed still maybe up to about a decade ago. But by the time I was doing social media, it was in a little bit of a taper. Current era, that's gone. Okay, that's gone. To a large extent. Because of those two factors. Access to more money and resources for these young men, and the cost of the things they're buying dramatically going down with a higher availability. Both supply and demand side. Okay? That changed all that in a lot of ways. Okay. Now, that being said, what happened on the other end? Guys got bigger, they got freakier. I mean, we saw it happen with Dallas McCarver. Because these young men have access to money easier, and the stuff they were taking got cheaper, the abuse got worse. Okay? The abuse got worse. People are like, why are these guys so much bigger? How come we're seeing guys now who are 23 who are bigger than the guys on the Olympia stage 20 years ago, 25 years ago? Well, Why do you think? Because they're putting more stuff in their body. Way more stuff. So that's got worse. Then we had the whole party aspect. That was the thing I used to talk about, the really darker side of all that, the party aspect. These are guys in the hardcore end of the bodybuilding. There was a whole culture built around partying. Recreational substances were being used in addition to abusing enormous amounts of stuff. Okay, that whole culture created problems. That culture has evolved a bit. Like that world has changed a little bit. I'm not saying some of that isn't still there. I'm not seeing it as much. Okay, you get around really a lot of serious bodybuilders now and you talk to them. They think nose candy's horrible. Right? That wasn't the case years ago. You guys remember the late Jerry Ward? I talked about that stuff, and then you guys remember the late Jerry Ward talking about all these hardcore bodybuilders were all on narcotics. I mean, Rich Piana was hooked on oxys. Like, this is something people in his life told me, personally, who were in his circle later. They kind of talked to me about it. They reached out. Okay? All this painkillers too on top of it, party drugs. All right, on top of this, all this other stuff, polydrug cocktail, polydrug abuse. Okay? They were dying, and they still are. That's the problem. It's not that they're using a little stuff. Not even really the dieting. It's the extreme end, particularly when the partying comes in. It's a deadly combination. Some of that is still there. Partying is maybe lesser, different generation, but stuff guys take, there's a lot more. Way a lot more. Okay? So, has my views changed? Sure, my views have to evolve around that. They revolve around that. Not really, no one's talking about the G for P world anymore to the same degree. They just started OnlyFans now. Okay? Problem solved. Get monetized social media. Stuff's cheaper. But the abuse is still there, at least for the bigger guys. And the only way that's going to change is if they bring the size down. They say, hey, you guys can't be this grotesque and massive. Bring the size down. And that's the solution. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.